think, just everybody contributing and like everybody was doing their job. Goaltender was really good and just all around pretty solid hockey by everybody. That's
Toronto just silenced the haters with this win. Tuesday night, shorthanded roster, 4 goals scored, 0 allowed, momentum flipped in real time. The Maple Leafs defeated the New Jersey Devils 4-0 at Scotiabank Arena, and the game never slipped from their control. From the opening face-off, Toronto dictated pace and structure. The Devils pushed early, but Toronto's positioning stayed tight. Passing lanes closed quickly. Shots came, but they were managed. The Leafs did not play desperate hockey. They played disciplined hockey. The breakthrough came midway through the first period. At 14 minutes and 21 seconds, Bobby McMann scored on the power play. The puck moved efficiently through the zone, and Nicholas Robertson delivered the setup. McMann finished the play cleanly. The goal gave Toronto a 1-0 lead and immediately changed the flow of the game. McMann entered the night with 4 goals in his previous 6 games, and the production continued when the team needed it most. New Jersey attempted to respond, but Toronto did not retreat. The Leafs stayed aggressive through the neutral zone and forced dump-ins rather than controlled entries. The Devils generated shots, but few came from high-danger areas. Toronto exited the first period with the lead and without allowing sustained pressure in front of the net. The second period widened the gap. Nicholas Roy extended Toronto's lead to 2-0 with a redirected goal just as a power play expired. The timing mattered. It removed any momentum New Jersey had begun to build and forced the Devils to chase the game further. Toronto continued to roll lines and apply pressure without overcommitting. Behind every push stood Joseph Woll. Shot after shot came toward the net. Woll tracked the puck calmly and controlled rebounds. New Jersey finished the night with 33 shots on goal. Woll stopped all 33. The shutout was his first of the season and the third of his NHL career. His save percentage for the game was perfect, 1.000. New Jersey entered the game already dealing with scoring problems. Over their previous 7 games, they had scored just 10 goals. That issue followed them into Toronto. The Devils fired pucks from the outside and attempted to create traffic, but Toronto's defense kept the crease clear. Woll saw the puck cleanly throughout the night. Toronto did not slow down in the third period. Kalle Järnkrok scored early in the frame to make it 3-0. The goal marked his first since November 1st and added another contributor to the score sheet. The Leafs continued to cycle the puck and burn time in the offensive zone, forcing New Jersey to expend energy without results. Late in the third period, Matthew Knies finished the job with an empty net goal. The score moved to 4-0, and the outcome was locked. There was no late scramble, no breakdown. The Leafs closed the game cleanly. The scoring summary told an important story. Bobby McMann recorded a goal and an assist. Nicholas Roy added a goal and an assist. None of those goals came from Matthews or Nylander. Toronto's depth carried the night. Joseph Woll remained the foundation. 33 shots faced, 33 saves made, no goals allowed. Each Devils push ended the same way. The puck stayed out. The clock kept moving. The margin never shrank. New Jersey goaltender Jacob Markstrom made 26 saves, but Toronto's offensive pressure was consistent across all 3 periods. Extended zone time limited New Jersey's ability to transition quickly, and Toronto's puck management reduced turnover risk. The physical side of the game surfaced briefly in the third period when Matthew Knies and Nico Hischier dropped the gloves. The exchange ended quickly. Toronto did not lose focus. The next shift returned to structure and control. Special teams mattered early. Toronto converted on the power play in the first period. New Jersey failed to score on its own power play opportunities. The Leafs' penalty kill disrupted entries and cleared the puck effectively, preventing the Devils from setting up sustained pressure. The win improved Toronto's record to 18-15-6. It marked the team's third victory in its last 4 games. Points were added, positioning improved, momentum became measurable. Attendance at Scotiabank Arena was 18,923. The Leafs led from start to finish. The Devils never tied the game. Toronto never trailed. Context amplified the result. Austin Matthews had recorded 27 points in 33 games before being listed day-to-day with a lower body injury. William Nylander was also sidelined. Despite those absences, Toronto adjusted without hesitation. Ice time was spread evenly. Roles were executed cleanly. Toronto controlled the neutral zone throughout the game. Breakouts were disrupted. Turnovers were forced. New Jersey struggled to gain speed through the middle, limiting offensive opportunities before they developed. By the final horn, the numbers told the story clearly. 4 goals scored, 0 allowed, 33 saves, balanced scoring, no late pressure, no collapse. New Jersey left Toronto with a 4th straight loss and continued scoring concerns. Toronto moved forward with momentum and a shutout recorded in the standings. December 30th now sits firmly in the season record. A short-handed lineup, a complete performance, a result that resonates beyond one night. Marc Savard's silence is no longer the story. In recent days, the focus has moved upward, away from the bench and toward management. As the fallout from his firing continues, attention has turned directly to Brad Treliving. What was once kept behind closed doors inside the Maple Leafs organization is now coming into public view. The Maple Leafs announced the dismissal of assistant coach Mark Savard during the season. The team did not release a long statement. No press conference followed. Reports connected the decision to struggles on the power play. Savard had responsibility in that area. The change was made as the season continued, not during an off-season reset. Savard had joined the Maple Leafs coaching staff to help improve offensive systems. He worked under the direction of the head coach and management. His role was specific. His authority was limited. He did not control roster construction. He did not decide which players were signed or traded. Those responsibilities belonged to the general manager. After the firing, public reaction shifted quickly. Many fans questioned why an assistant coach was removed while larger issues remained. Online discussion focused less on Savard's performance and more on decision-making at the management level. The name mentioned repeatedly was Brad Treliving. Brad Treliving is responsible for hockey operations in Toronto. He oversees roster construction, coaching hires, and long-term planning. When changes are made, they happen under his authority. The firing of Savard placed Treliving directly into the conversation. Fans and commentators began debating whether the move addressed the real problems. The power play struggles were visible. That fact is not disputed. However, the players executing those plays were not changed. The core group remained the same. The system was adjusted, but personnel decisions were untouched. This contrast fueled discussion about accountability. Treliving has taken a cautious approach since taking over as general manager. Reports indicate he has avoided major trades during the season. The strategy appears focused on stability and internal fixes. The Savard firing fits that pattern. It changes structure without altering the roster. For some fans, that approach raised concerns. The firing was seen as a limited response to deeper problems. Commentary online described Savard as a scapegoat. That term appeared repeatedly in discussions. The idea was not based on a statement from the team. It came from interpretation and reaction. Savard himself did not speak publicly after the firing. No statement was released. No interview followed. His silence allowed the narrative to develop without his input. That silence kept attention on management rather than on the coach who was removed. Brad Treliving also did not make a detailed public explanation. The team moved forward. Practices continued. Games were played. But the conversation did not stop. It shifted. The timing of the move mattered. The season is well underway. The standings are tight. Pressure is higher. Changes made at this point carry different meaning than off-season adjustments. Fans interpreted the firing as urgency. Elliot Friedman's recent reporting added fuel to that urgency. He warned that the Maple Leafs could be heading toward very uncomfortable conversations if inconsistency continues. That phrase resonated. It connected directly to management responsibility. When insiders talk about uncomfortable conversations, they often refer to internal evaluations. These evaluations include coaching effectiveness, roster balance, and front office decisions. Savard's firing was one evaluation already completed. Fans began asking who might be evaluated next. Treliving's role became central to that discussion. He is not new to pressure. Toronto is one of the most demanding markets in hockey. Every decision is magnified. The Savard move was no exception. Some fans pointed out that assistant coaches operate within systems given to them. They implement plans. They do not design the roster. When systems fail, responsibility can be shared. That argument kept circling back to management. Others defended the move. They argued that changes must start somewhere. Savard's area was underperforming. Action was taken. From that view, the firing showed accountability, not avoidance. The debate did not produce a single conclusion, but it did place Brad Treliving under a brighter spotlight than before. His decisions, his patience, and his strategy became topics of daily discussion. Trade deadline timing added pressure. Reports suggest Treliving prefers small adjustments rather than dramatic moves. Fans questioned whether that approach fits the current situation. The Savard firing made that question louder. Injuries were also mentioned in discussions. The team has dealt with absences. Lines have shifted. Consistency has been hard to maintain. Those facts provide context, but they do not stop evaluation. The Leafs' performance has been uneven. Strong games are followed by weaker ones. That pattern aligns with Friedman's warning. Inconsistency forces conversations. Savard's firing showed one response. It did not close the issue. Brad Treliving's tenure in Toronto is still developing. The Savard decision is now part of that record. Whether it is seen as a necessary step or an unfair one depends on what comes next. For now, the facts are clear. Marc Savard was fired during the season. The explanation was limited. Power play struggles were cited in reporting. Fan reaction shifted attention toward management. Brad Treliving became the focus of that attention. The Maple Leafs continue their schedule. No further changes have been announced, but the conversation inside and outside the organization has changed. The Savard firing did not end scrutiny. It redirected it. As the season moves forward, every decision will be viewed through this moment. The pressure is not only on the ice, it sits above it as well. One coach gone, one problem targeted, but the numbers refuse to change. The Toronto Maple Leafs pulled the trigger on a major staff decision, yet the power play stayed silent. What followed did not bring relief. It brought pressure. And inside the organization, attention shifted fast toward what comes next. The Toronto Maple Leafs made a decisive coaching change by firing assistant coach Marc Savard. The move came as the team's power play ranked last in the NHL. Savard had been responsible for running the man advantage unit since joining the staff in June 2024. The decision was confirmed and followed weeks of declining results in a critical area of the game. At the time of the change, Toronto's power play was converting at 13.3%. That figure was the lowest mark in the league. In the month of December alone, the Leafs scored just 2 power play goals on 27 opportunities. Those struggles continued during a stretch in which the team went 1-4 and won over 6 games, sliding toward the bottom of the Atlantic Division. The timing of the firing was notable. The Maple Leafs were not making a head coaching change. Instead, management targeted the assistant directly linked to the failing unit. Savard's role was clear. He oversaw power play structure, puck movement, and zone entries. His removal signaled that the organization viewed special teams as a central problem that required immediate action. Savard's coaching history included prior work with head coach Craig Berube. The two had worked together with the St. Louis Blues before reuniting in Toronto. Savard also brought experience as a former NHL forward, having played 807 career games and recorded 706 points. Despite that background, the power play did not show sustained improvement under his watch. General manager Brad Treliving addressed the change shortly after it was announced. He stated that Craig Berube's position as head coach was secure. That message narrowed the focus of accountability. The move placed responsibility on the power play alone, rather than the overall coaching system or roster structure. The immediate aftermath did not deliver a turnaround. In the game following Savard's dismissal, the Maple Leafs went 0 for 2 on the power play in a 6-3 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. The team earned the victory, but the man advantage unit remained scoreless. The issue that led to the firing was still present on the ice. Following Savard's exit, assistant coach Derek Lalonde was assigned responsibility for the power play. No external replacement was announced. The organization chose to adjust internally, keeping the same personnel on the ice while altering the voice behind the bench. The effectiveness of that decision had yet to be measured, and the pressure did not ease. It shifted. The pressure surrounding the power play grew heavier because of the players involved. Toronto's man advantage unit included Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and John Tavares. Despite that group, production remained limited. Across 35 games, the Maple Leafs recorded only 12 power play goals in 90 chances. During the same span, the team allowed 4 shorthanded goals against, reducing overall effectiveness even further. Those numbers followed the team through multiple stretches of the season. On a recent road trip before the coaching change, Toronto went 0 for 10 on the power play. Individual games during that trip included 0 for 5 and 0 for 4 performances with the man advantage. Each missed opportunity added to the urgency inside the organization and intensified scrutiny from league observers. After the firing, the Maple Leafs entered the holiday break without announcing a structural overhaul of the power play. The unit continued to feature the same personnel. The difference was the staff direction. Derek Lalonde assumed responsibility for special teams, while head coach Craig Berube remained in place. Management made it clear that this was a targeted adjustment, not a broader reset. The standings added context to the situation. At the time of the coaching move, Toronto sat 23rd overall in the NHL. The team was 5 points out of a wild card spot and near the bottom of the Atlantic Division. Those numbers highlighted how little margin for error remained as the season approached its midpoint. William Nylander's performance in the first game after the change provided contrast. He recorded 2 goals and 2 assists against Pittsburgh, ending an 11-game goal drought. The offensive output helped secure a win, but it did not come on the power play. Even during one of the team's stronger offensive nights, the man advantage unit stayed quiet. Captain Austin Matthews had previously addressed the importance of special teams earlier in the season. He emphasized that power play often decide close games. Commented before the coach change during a period when the unit was already trending downward. Since then, numbers have not shifted. The Maple Leafs signaled further coaching changes were implemented. Brad Treliving's public comments reinforced stability at the head coach level. That play as a focal point of internal accountability. Savard on and responsibilities reassigned, results became the only remaining measure. The set of games following the break carried added weight. The power play was no longer to the coach who designed it. Each opportunity with the man advantage carried broader implications, not just for scoring, but for how the organization's decision would be judged as the season moved forward. A coach was removed. The team was losing ground. Attention turned toward the bench. But instead of another dismissal, Brad Treliving delivered a message no one was prepared for. It wasn't damage control. It wasn't silence. It was a clear decision that reshaped how this season will be judged from this point forward. The decision came during a stretch of mounting tension inside the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. Results had stalled. The power play had collapsed. The team sat near the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. One day earlier, assistant coach Marc Savard was fired after the Leafs' power play fell to last in the NHL, converting at just 13.3%. The move immediately triggered wider speculation about the future of the coaching staff. Savard had been responsible for the power play. Toronto had scored only 12 power play goals through more than a third of the season. In December alone, the team recorded just 2 power play goals across 27 opportunities. The Leafs were also outscored 14-4 during a 3-game road trip shortly before the firing. At that moment, the organization stood at 15 wins, 15 losses, and 5 overtime losses. Speculation escalated quickly. The firing of an assistant coach often signals deeper changes. Media attention shifted toward head coach Craig Berube, who was hired to stabilize the team after years of postseason failures. Questions centered on whether Savard's dismissal was the first step toward a larger reset behind the bench. Brad Treliving addressed those questions directly. Speaking to reporters, the Maple Leafs general manager made his position clear. "I want to make it clear. I support Craig fully," Treliving said. He rejected suggestions of internal division and dismissed claims of a disconnect between management and the coaching staff. He stated plainly that the situation required improvement across the entire organization. Treliving emphasized that Savard's firing did not isolate responsibility to one individual. "The players have responsibility, and this doesn't absolve anybody," he said. The comment reinforced that accountability extended beyond the assistant coach and included players, staff, and management. The timing of the statement surprised many observers. Public endorsements of head coaches during active struggles are uncommon. In this case, it came less than 24 hours after a staff firing and while the team remained in last place in the Atlantic Division. Treliving also declined to discuss future hypotheticals, stating he would not engage in speculation about what might happen next. Brad Treliving acknowledged that the power play struggles were a factor in the decision to remove Marc Savard, but he framed the move as an adjustment rather than a turning point. He stated that the change was one management could make immediately, while broader improvements would require contributions from players and staff. The organization confirmed that Derek Lalonde would take on a lead role with the power play, signaling continuity rather than overhaul. The endorsement of Berube also came hours before a key response game. On December 23rd, the Maple Leafs defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-3. The win snapped a 3-game losing streak. Max Domi scored the game-winning goal, ending his own 23-game goal drought. William Nylander recorded 2 goals and 2 assists. The result provided short-term relief, but it did not alter the broader context surrounding the team's season. Media coverage following the game noted the contrast between the on-ice response and the underlying concerns that remained unresolved. The Leafs were still positioned near the bottom of the Atlantic Division. The margin for error remained narrow. With Berube's job publicly secured, responsibility now rested more heavily on player performance and lineup execution. Treliving's remarks were also closely examined because of their timing. Assistant coach firings often precede further changes, but multiple reports indicated that no additional dismissals were planned in the immediate future. Sources stated that neither Berube nor Treliving was considered in danger of removal at that stage. The organization's direction was described as corrective rather than react. By declining to discuss future contingencies, Treliving limited speculation but also raised expectations. The message established a clear standard. Results would need to improve within the existing structure. With no further buffer layers between management and coaching, the next stretch of games would carry increased weight. The Maple Leafs entered the break with their leadership structure intact, their struggles documented, and their path defined. After the general manager's unexpected stance, attention turned away from the bench and back toward the ice, where outcomes would now speak louder than statements.
How hot is the seat on the coach Craig Berube in your estimation?
I mean, it's quite hot. I don't know if you've seen the news, it's just breaking now, but his assistant coach, Marc Savard, has been fired by the team. You know, obviously, under Savard's watch is the power play, and that's been, I'd say, one of the main issues that's led to where the Leafs record is right now. And, obviously, management is in a position where they don't want to fire Craig Berube.
Toronto Maple Leafs made a move that no one inside the locker room could ignore. One coach was removed. Responsibility shifted fast. Numbers exposed a collapse that could not be defended. A power play fell to the bottom of the league, and patience ended quietly but firmly. This decision sent a message, and its real impact had only just begun to unfold. The Toronto Maple Leafs confirmed they have fired assistant coach Marc Savard during the middle of the regular season. The announcement followed a stretch of poor results and a sharp decline in special teams performance. Savard had been responsible for the team's power play, which ranked last in the National Hockey League at the time of the decision. Savard joined the Maple Leafs coaching staff in June 2024. He was hired as part of head coach Craig Berube's staff after Berube took over the team earlier that offseason. The hiring reunited Savard with Berube, as the two had previously worked together with the St. Louis Blues during the 2019-20 season. At the time, time, Savard was dismissed. The team was positioned near the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings and sat last in the Atlantic Division. Over their previous 6 games, Toronto posted a 1-4-1 record, adding to mounting pressure around the club's performance. The power play played a central role in the coaching change. Toronto's unit was converting at a rate of 13.3%, the lowest mark in the league. During the month of December, the team scored just 2 power play goals across 27 opportunities. In one recent stretch, the Leafs went scoreless on 10 consecutive power play chances during a road trip. This season's numbers represented a sharp drop from the previous year. During the 2024 to 2025 season, the Maple Leafs power play finished at 24.8%, ranking 9th in the NHL. That unit featured many of the same core players now struggling to produce with the man advantage. The decision came shortly after a 5-1 loss to the Dallas Stars. In that game, Toronto again failed to generate offense on special teams. Days earlier, the Washington Capitals shut out the Maple Leafs 4-0, ending Toronto's streak of 71 consecutive games without being shut out. In that matchup, the Leafs went 0 for 5 on the power play. Following Savard's dismissal,